Need for Speed, it's a name that almost every racing fan knows. From Underground and Most Wanted to Carbon and Payback, the franchise helped define an entire generation of arcade racing games. For years, Need for Speed wasn't just one of the biggest racing franchises, it was the racing franchise. Fast cars, deep customization, intense police chases, and unforgettable street racing moments made it a favorite among millions of players. But things have changed. While the series is still around today, many fans feel like Need for Speed no longer has the same impact it once did. The genre has evolved, player expectations have grown, and the future of the franchise feels more uncertain than ever. So the question is, what happened to Need for Speed? And why are so many racing fans looking for the next big thing? Let's talk about it. The Need for Speed problem. For years, Need for Speed was the name in arcade racing. Whether you grew up with Underground, Most Wanted, Carbon, or Hot Pursuit, NFS defined what street racing games could be. Fast cars, deep customization, police chases, and memorable stories. It had everything racing fans wanted. But in recent years, things have changed. While modern Need for Speed games still have their fans, the franchise doesn't dominate the racing genre the way it once did. Releases have become less frequent, community opinions have become more divided, and many players feel like the series is still searching for its identity. Part of the problem is consistency. Every generation of Need for Speed seemed to have a clear vision, but recent entries have often felt like they're trying to balance multiple ideas at once. One game focuses heavily on story, another on online features, another on police pursuits. As a result, fans rarely agree on what the perfect modern Need for Speed should actually look like. There's also the issue of competition. Back in the 2000s, such as Need for Speed Shift to Most Wanted, Need for Speed was the undisputed king of arcade racing. Today, players have more options than ever before. Open world racing games have become bigger, more detailed, and more accessible, giving players alternatives whenever Need for Speed fails to meet expectations. At the same time, the racing genre itself has evolved. Players now expect massive open worlds, deep progression systems, frequent content updates, realistic car handling mixed with arcade fun, and extensive customization. Meeting all of those expectations is much harder than it was 20 years ago. And then there's the biggest issue of all, uncertainty. Right now, nobody really knows what the future of Need for Speed looks like. The franchise is still alive, but with limited news and long gaps between releases, many fans are left wondering where the series goes from here. That uncertainty creates an opportunity, because when a legendary franchise leaves fans wanting more, people naturally start looking for the next game that can capture that same feeling. I think I found the next Need for Speed game. So, what exactly is Clutch? Clutch is a brand new open world action driving game being developed by Maverick Games, a studio that many racing fans had never heard of until now. But once people looked at who was behind the project, the excitement started to make a lot more sense. The studio was founded by Mike Brown, the former creative director of the Forza Horizon series. Alongside him are developers who have worked on some of the most successful racing games of the last decade. That alone was enough to get the attention of the racing community. But it's not just the people behind the game that have fans interested, it's the game itself. According to the reveal, Clutch aims to blend professional motorsport competition with underground street racing. Players will experience a story-driven campaign while exploring a large open world filled with races, challenges, and high-speed action. What makes Clutch particularly interesting is that it doesn't appear to be chasing realism above all else. Instead, it seems focused on delivering a cinematic driving experience. Fast cars, dramatic moments, rivalries, and action-packed gameplay appear to be at the heart of the experience. In many ways, those are the same elements that helped make Need for Speed so popular in the first place. The game also promises extensive vehicle customization and a strong emphasis on player progression, giving racers reasons to keep building and improving their collection over time. Of course, we're still in the early stages. We've seen trailers and we've heard the vision, but we haven't yet seen everything the game has to offer. There are still plenty of questions that need answering before anyone can judge whether Clutch can truly deliver on its ambitions. But based on what we've seen so far, it's easy to understand why so many racing fans are already making comparisons to Need for Speed. And that brings us to the biggest question of all. Can Clutch actually become the new Need for Speed? Clutch has a lot going for it. It's being developed by a team with years of experience making successful racing games. It's targeting the open world arcade racing audience. And it's bringing together elements that many fans have been asking for: street racing, storytelling, customization, and a large world to explore. In other words, it's aiming for the exact audience that helped make Need for Speed one of the biggest racing franchises in gaming history. But becoming the next Need for Speed is a lot easier said than done. The reality is that Need for Speed has spent decades building its reputation. It has iconic games, memorable moments, and an instantly recognizable name. Even people who don't regularly play racing games know what Need for Speed is. Clutch doesn't have that advantage. It's a completely new IP entering one of the most competitive genres in gaming. No matter how impressive the trailers look, the game still has to prove itself where it matters most. The gameplay? Can the driving feel satisfying? Will the world be engaging enough to keep players coming back? Will the story actually be memorable? And perhaps most importantly, can it deliver on the expectations that are already being placed on it? Those are questions we simply can't answer yet. What we can say is that Clutch is arriving at the perfect time. Many racing fans are hungry for something new. They're looking for a game that can capture the excitement, style, and sense of progression that made them fall in love with arcade racing in the first place. And whether intentionally or not, Clutch is positioning itself as a game that could fill that gap. So is Clutch becoming the new Need for Speed? Not yet. But if Maverick Games can deliver on everything they've shown so far, Clutch has the potential to become something just as important: a genuine competitor. And honestly, that might be exactly what the racing genre needs right now. At the end of the day, Clutch still has a lot to prove. A great trailer can generate hype, a talented development team can build excitement, but none of that guarantees success. The real test will come when players finally get their hands on the game. That said, it's hard to ignore the potential. With a team made up of racing game veterans and a vision that seems to blend some of the best elements of arcade racing, Clutch has already become one of the most interesting upcoming racing games on the horizon. Whether it becomes the next Need for Speed, a true competitor, or something entirely different, one thing is certain: the racing genre just got a lot more interesting. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe for more content, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.